Hello and welcome to Benny's Alternate Universe, the show where I invite you to come into my world, check out what's going on, have a listen, and see what's new in my tape collection. Today we're going to be looking at a tape by one of the greatest all-time bands from the UK, innovators of heavy metal, one of the greatest guitarists ever in rock and roll, Tony Iommi, one of the greatest lead singers ever, Ozzy Osbourne, who was later replaced by one of the greatest lead singers in the history of rock and roll, Ronnie James Dio, for the album The Mob Rules. Killer cover on this one. Unfortunately, I only have this kind of cheesy edition that just has a very small version of the album cover and not much in the way of liner notes, but it's pretty cool. So what's the deal with Black Sabbath? Well, they are the undisputed innovators of heavy metal. We can say that there was proto-metal before them in the form of Yardbirds or Cream or what have you, but when Sabbath dropped their debut self-titled album, it was all around ominous. The title track and band anthem Black Sabbath featured this thing called the tritone, the devil's interval, which was and really is the most sinister sounding interval that you can achieve. It's a flat fifth for those who like to geek out, as well as the tolling of the iron bell and the overt satanic lyrics on Black Sabbath was totally new and shocking at the time, I'm told. And also great tunes on there like The Wizard. They followed that up with all-time classic heavy metal album Paranoid. And the critics, while they may not have been silenced, could not, I don't think, argue with the success of the title track, Iron Man, War Pigs, all classics. And other classics on there too, like Hand of Doom and Electric Funeral and Fairies Wear Boots. So really just a great album all around. I think that is my favorite Sabbath album. They went on to have a bunch more great albums with Ozzy, Master of Reality, Volume 4, Sabotage, all classics. Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, in my opinion, a classic too, but it started to show some signs of wear. Technical Ecstasy was not up to par with the preceding albums. Never Say Die I love because it was interesting, but it really wasn't that fantastic in the grand scheme of things and compared to what they had done before. So the band relations were at an all-time low. Ozzy was allegedly really bad with the drugs, although I think that the whole band was pretty heavily into cocaine, at least from the time of Volume 4, which is when they started recording in LA. So, long story short, Ozzy's out, Dio's in. Time for a new singer. They released the album Heaven and Hell. Fantastic album, and I would say it was the best album they had done since Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, possibly since Sabotage, although definitely not as good as Sabotage. The first 5, for me, Black Sabbath albums are not something that can easily be bested and have rarely been bested. It's really classic music that sounds great today. The messages are timeless and powerful. The performance is raw. The sound is raw and full, and it's just amazing. So they do this Heaven and Hell album. It's well received. And they have another crucial lineup change, which is the addition of Vinny Appice, or whatever the hell his name is, on drums. And original drummer Bill Ward was not present, which was, I think, overall a loss, but it was, his replacement was a great drummer who had his own style that he wanted to bring to the table. And Heaven and Hell was a very good album, excellent album. But in my opinion, and it's not always a popular one, Mob Rules was much better. And the reason why is because by the time of Mob Rules, this new lineup, with half of the band was new members, new drummer, new lead singer, really started to gel and sound great together and play great together. Geezer's playing is sick. He really, really works well with the new drummer. Dio is, of course, a great singer, very expressive, great range that Ozzy, I think, never had. However, it does sound like he wrote a lot of his own lyrics, because there's a lot of, fantasy, wizardry kind of stuff that Dio was more inclined to do. I like the Ozzy era lyrics a lot better. And the lyrics on Black Sabbath are one of the things that appeals to me so much. They're very down to earth and rooted in reality. And so I didn't really enjoy Dio's take on that as much. But the playing is ferocious. The sound is great. I'm short on time, so I'm not going to get too deep into the track list. But another thing about Mob Rules that makes it so great is that this features some of Tony Iommi's best lead playing. I hear one right now. His guitar tone is unbelievable on this. I don't know if he started using a whammy bar or what, but it sounds like his vibrato is out of control in a good way. Just listen to him shred for a minute. And just again and again, this is Voodoo. Sign of the Southern Cross, which is coming up next, is super heavy, super grim, incredible guitar solo. Country Girl, super heavy. Over and Over, super heavy. One of my favorite guitar solos in the entire Sabbath catalog occurs at the end of Over and Over, which is also the end of the album. On the faster tracks, Turn Up the Night is great, Mob Rules is great, Falling Off the Edge of the World. And really, this entire album, as I look at the track list, I do not see a bad track. So it's highly recommended from a big Black Sabbath fan who is more of an Ozzy fan. And while I do prefer Ozzy, I think that the Dio era and Mob Rules in particular is excellent heavy metal, hard rock music that everybody should have in their collection if they're into that type of music and if they're into Black Sabbath. Don't write off Dio just because he's not Ozzy, because he made some great music with Sabbath as well. And with that, I like to kind of rock out a little bit to Voodoo. And then I think Sign of the Southern Cross is coming up next, which is really great. If you haven't heard that, look it up. Thank you for spending this little period of time with me, and I hope to see you next time in Benny's Alternate Universe. Thank you. Bye-bye.